Attention, please.
Welcome, everyone, to the Entrepreneur Kickback. I'm your host, Parrish Patton. I'm here with today's guest, Dr. Brown. He is currently the founder of the Holistic Training Institute. How are you doing, good sir?
Glad to be on the show and sharing with people who I assume would be interested in entrepreneurship. They're either considering it, are entrepreneurs, or know someone who's an entrepreneur. So glad to be on the show and glad to help.
Oh yeah, appreciate it. For those who don't know you, can you give yourself a brief introduction of yourself and what you do?
Okay, well, I am a traditional naturopath or traditional naturopathic doctor. I started my studies in holistic health in the 80s, actually, and founded Detroit Wholistic Center in 1987. After some years of preparation, I got pretty much a traditional background professionally. I went to Detroit. Well, let's see. I went to well, I guess some Catholic schools growing up, but graduated from Pershing High School, so I went to Catholic as well as public high school, and then I did my undergraduate degree at Eastern Michigan University, and then somewhere in there between my teens to in my 20s and college years, I started my interest in holistic health, and my studies began after I completed my undergraduate degree, and continued on and still continue on in terms of my study, my thirst for learning more and understanding more on how to apply naturopathic principles or holistic principles to many of the common problems that we have with health. I started Detroit Wholistic Center, founded Detroit Wholistic Center in 1987. And so for over 30 years, my staff and I served over 60,000 people, helping them with cleansing, weight loss, and in a number of different issues, but especially those centering around cleansing, weight loss, digestive issues. And then in 1999, I founded the Holistic Training Institute. I had been doing training before then, but we officially became licensed by the state of Michigan in 1999. So I've been teaching about holistic health. I've been training other people for personal or professional applications of holistic health since, for a very long time. Under our state license since 1999, but otherwise I was teaching it through our center and through facilities and in the greater Detroit metropolitan area, elsewhere in the country. And then I've also had a radio broadcast over 9 years, that I was producing on holistic health called Natural Health. What was it? It was some years ago. The Natural Health News. That's what it is. The Natural Health News. We have a newsletter called Holistic Health Matters. So I've done writing, I've done radio, I've done a lot of things to educate and uplift our community in holistic health. I call it empowerment, employment, enterprise, and entrepreneurship.
Oh, wow.
So that's, I guess that, there's some, I believe I said I'm a traditional naturopathic doctor. And for those people who are not familiar with that term, that's a person who has studied and applies naturopathic principles or natural principles to assess, treat, and maintain one's health. Okay. So we don't diagnose or prescribe, but we can assess and then address some health concerns from a natural standpoint, and then help people to maintain once they've made improvements.
That's very
Okay.
interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That's very, very interesting. What inspired you to become a naturopath?
Well, my interest started a long time ago, listening to people like Dick Gregory and other people in the um, who were talking about how modern medicine was failing us and how we needed to take responsibility for our health in our own hands. We needed to look not to drugs and the latest procedure of the day, but we needed to look back to what nature provided. What can we do? What is the sun? What is the earth? What is the water and food and herbs and everything that nature has to offer? What can that do for us? And therefore, what can we do for ourselves? So, as I learn more about that, I want to share more with other people, and I was fortunate enough to be able to make a living from it and to show other people how to do the same thing. Show other people how we did what we did, what was possible. And now through the Holistic Training Institute, which is how we're operating right now. The Detroit Wholistic Center closed due to COVID, and also because it was time. Okay, because it was just time for me to move from the stage where I was seeing people and my staff was seeing people personally to a point where we needed to pass it along for the next generations and generations to come. And so our mission through the Holistic Training Institute, again, which is a state licensed school, we've been licensed by the states for holistic health studies since 1999. We expanded our program about 5 years ago, and now we're providing online classes exclusively for the purposes of training and certifying people who want to help themselves, their family members, their loved ones, or they want to do something professionally in the community.
Okay. And
Mm-hmm.
that's awesome. So you say, I didn't know there was even a license process for this. So like what programs do you offer? Like if someone's to say, all right, you know what? I think I want to be a naturopath. Like,
okay.
What,
mm-hmm.
Then they come to you. Let's start there. What programs do you offer?
Okay. Well, let me clarify this. The school is licensed through the state of Michigan. People aren't licensed. So there's no licensure requirement for naturopathy in the state of Michigan. And there isn't for most naturopathic, I'll say, studies or areas. Okay. So the school is licensed and people get certified. So think of it like a trade school. Okay. For natural studies. What people come to us primarily for, our most popular and requested offering, is in the study of herbs. Most people, the average person, when we surveyed our clientele, people who were contacting us, they, I'll say about 8 to 9 times out of 10 would say, I want to know about herbs and what herbs can do and how I can help myself, my loved ones, or my community using herbs. So that's the number one thing that people come to us for, even though we're approved through, for natural, like the natural food, preparation, plant-based type, studies and in Reiki and a host of other things. Most people come in, and if they want to be a naturopath, they need to study basically in 3 different areas. Okay, they need to take courses in 3 different areas. One is how to assess, and in medicine they would say diagnose, but assessment means if a person comes to you, how do you determine, how do you get a gauge on, how to get an understanding of where their state of health is, what their concerns are? Secondly, treatment. What treatment modalities? They need to study treatment modalities. What can you do for the person? The people that you can help anyway, because we can't help everyone. Okay? Most people, they specialize in particular areas that they can really focus on and help people in. But what are your treatment modalities? And then how do you help people to maintain their health once they've overcome the concerns that they have? So I call it ATM, assessment, treatment, maintenance. That's the I'll say the formula. That's the design for what people need to keep in mind if they're going to help someone. Either a person is assessed by them, or a person has been assessed by their doctor or by someone else. Then they need treatment or treatments from a holistic standpoint, from a naturopathic standpoint. And then they need to maintain after that, but they also need to monitor and measure things so that they maintain this over time. Okay. Person loses weight, can they maintain that? Okay. A person's blood pressure goes down. How do they maintain? What do they monitor? Their blood pressure. How do they maintain that? Or their blood sugar, whatever it is. So those are basically the three different areas. There are a number of courses that correspond to those areas, but those are categorically, that's what a person is studying. And consequentially, even if a person was going to med school, that's what they would be studying as well. They'd study, what tools they have to diagnose someone, to assess what's going on with them. What are the treatment modalities or treatment options they would have? And then ideally, I'll tell you, this isn't a strong part of the medical model, but how do they maintain this over time so that they're not running into the same problem over and over again?
That's very interesting. Okay. Let's, okay. You found this passion. So
yep.
Let's rewind back to, 87. You want to do something with this. You trying to build it out. What was in order to open up your first facility? What barriers did you have, and how did you overcome them?
Let's see. I'm going to approach about 3, because I would say there were probably several barriers. One of the biggest barriers was that there was not really a model for what I wanted to do. Okay. I had seen chiropractors and people doing massage and things, but there wasn't anyone who was doing what I had in mind to do, at least in Detroit. Okay. That was one. 2, it was also that internal barrier where I didn't feel quite ready. Okay. I mean, and on one hand, I was eager and excited and wanted to share some things, but on the other hand, I had doubts. Now, how I overcame that, and in fact, both of them, is I still took action. I still had enough confidence in myself and confidence in what I had achieved so far, and just felt determined. I guess let's see, at the time I was 1987, I would have been 30, going on 31 years, about 31 years of age. And there was a point where in times where I almost felt like I could conquer the world, whatever I set my mind to. Fortunately, I'd done well in corporate America. I'd done well, I'd done well in college. I'd done well in corporate. I was a manager when I left corporate, and I kind of burned my ships, as they say, and kind of turned my, left the other. I wasn't working. Some people say, were you working, someplace else and doing this part time? No, I committed myself full time to this endeavor from the beginning. And let's see. Then there were some other things. The other barriers are, typical for businesses: lack of funds, lack of capital. I didn't know how much it was going to take to get started. I kind of underestimated that. And then lack of resources. But I just persisted. I was able to get some help from my father. But otherwise I hustled. I had to cash in some of my stocks. I gave up the place that I was living at and really downsized. So I really tightened up my belt and minimized my expenses, and it worked hard. Now, I wouldn't suggest. I just had a daughter. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that for everybody to do. Okay. And I think in some respects it would be different today than it was then, because just as you have the option of doing things online, it's a lot more you're able to do online. People can build an audience. They can reach hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands of people online. I highly suggest that. I highly suggest that people have a foundation and they build an audience and they identify who the market is, then they kind of do it the way that I did. I mean, that would be kind of outmoded today anyway. But it was, in short, it was grit and determination. It was a whole lot of God, really, because there were times when I really could have been taken out, but for the grace of God, I was able to, to work through and make it happen. I would definitely say there was some divine intervention in there.
It definitely does. But it's something about, like, knowing your cause and you just manifest that,
Yes.
and you did absolutely whatever it took for you to achieve that goal. And that's admirable, really, especially for how long you've been doing it. Y'all do the math. Y'all do the math, y'all. I'm not gonna say nothing, but y'all do the math on how long you've been doing this, so.
Yeah, most businesses do not survive for over 30 years. Mm-hmm. Most businesses go out and won, and those that survive don't last 5, and those that survive don't last 10 or 15 or 20 or so. But 30 years in a unique area, a niche area. I wasn't doing, it wasn't a bar, club, or restaurant, or, some of the traditional stuff. It was something that I really had to educate a lot of people about. I really had to build an audience as I went. I know at a point I had put out, and a lot of it was flyers, because again, it wasn't a lot of 1987 to, for a long time. It wasn't about emails and all that. It was, the advertisement was flyers. And I don't come from a wealthy background. Not at all. And so I know at a point, I want to say within about 10, somewhere between 10 and 15 years or so, I put out about 1 million pieces of literature into the community. I did every radio broadcast that I could. I got all the exposure I could. When the state of Michigan called and said, hey, can you do 6 weeks to wellness? Can you do this, right? Or a church contacted me, I said, yeah, I'm coming out. So I got in front of a lot of people, did a lot of speaking. It's like my undergraduate degree is in communications, speech communications. My minor was radio, television, film. So people say, well, how do you go from communications to holistic health? Well, I had the communications degree was something that I needed to do to kind of overcome some being a quiet somewhat introverted person, and then being going into naturopathy, the naturopathic studies, holistic health studies was my passion. It was something I was just excited about. It was one of those things when they say, if you could do something for the rest of your life, even if you didn't get paid for it, what would that be? It would be, I would continue to empower and help people holistically, because it's essential. It's like, when they say a matter of life or death, it's a matter of life or death. It's a matter of quality of life and death as well. Okay. And a lot of my friends I've seen over years, went to high school with and college with and have known, are dying. Scripturally speaking, when they say, my people perish for lack of knowledge, it's not lack of knowledge about sports or cars or, how to buy clothes, the best clothes or something. It's lack of knowledge about self. What we are here to do, how to live, how to maintain our body temples, how to be rich in terms of our relationships. Now, it's not all about wealth. Even it's nice to have money. And I've had times when I've had, good amount of money, and been able to get whatever I want to. And there have been times when it's been tight. But in all of that, being healthy and having, daughters and my offspring do well in life and being able to spend time with them and my family members, my loved ones, and to be rich in my relationships and to be rich in relationships with other people that I'm able to help has been part of the most satisfying part of my existence ever. Okay, because I know people have a lot of money, but they're not happy. They're going from this marriage or that relationship to another or whatever. I'll say I've been relatively happy, healthy, and wise. Working on the wealthy, but happy, healthy, and wise as a result. And that helps me enjoy everything else more.
There's a nugget for you. It's definitely a nugget.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I would tell people, say, do something that you love to do. Here are some keys. And I would say when I look at opportunities, and I'll say early on, long time ago. Okay, and I'd say I probably really began my entrepreneurship at about 10 years of age. I wanted to get a newspaper out. My father wasn't for it, but my mother was. Mom went out, and so did I. I got the newspaper out, so I started working for myself in a sense at 10 years of age. I learned how to open up accounts, talk to people, and at least began that process early on. I had to collect the money. It was my own business. My parents never went out there and said, "Hey, you haven't paid my son, for the newspapers or something," or they didn't go out there and collect with me. I had to manage that. So it started with that, and then I did leaves and I did snow, and I learned to hustle. And I think that a lot of parents do not allow their young people to go to do the things that they need to do to become responsible adults. You don't wait until a person's 15, 18 years of age and then say, "Oh, you're old enough now. Go out there and start working." They have no work ethic. They have no work principles. You've given them everything. You've given them the shoes, the clothes, and all kinds of things. I worked for that. I didn't get extra stuff. Okay, that wasn't happening in my house. I didn't have expensive clothes. My first what I consider to be expensive gym shoes and things, I bought that. My mini bike, I bought that. The things that I wanted beyond what my parents were obligated to give me, like food, clothing, and basic clothing and shelter and stuff like that, I paid for. If I wanted extra, I worked and I got it. Okay. So that was when entrepreneurship started. But I also wanted to make sure that it was something that I would enjoy doing as well as getting paid for. It was something that would help people. I always wanted to do things that would be helpful for people. Later on, I said, well, it should help people and be good for the planet. It should be principled. I wasn't, I did a little hustling I'll say I did a little hustling at a point, but what I did for the most part was principled. Okay. I wanted to do things that were legal, things that were moral, as well as generated a profit. I was approached about selling drugs and doing some other stuff, and I had to turn away from that, for something positive. And again, we need to teach our young people, and we need to take on for ourselves saying, I can do something that's legal and moral, and profitable. Something that helps people and doesn't hurt them. Something that's good for the planet and doesn't harm the planet. Something that I can pass on to future generations and do it really well, so I can also be philanthropic. What good are we doing for ourselves? What good are we doing for our community? Through Detroit Wholistic Center and even through the Holistic Training Institute, is like, how are we creating jobs? How are we creating a life for people so that they and future generations benefit as well? So then when we're thinking about entrepreneurship and what to do something that you enjoy doing, and not just because someone says, oh, you're going to make a lot of money from this. And do something that's helpful for people long term. Can you teach your offspring this? Many of my family members have worked with the business, and their lives have been altered and changed as a result. So I'll say it's a package. Entrepreneurship is to a great extent a lifestyle, and it can be purposeful as well as profitable. Okay. And so I'd probably close on that and share that people can find us through holistictraininginstitute.com on social media, like on Facebook, or holistictraininginstitute.com. And that's WHOLISTIC training, TRAININGINSTITU, INSTITUTE.com, all one word. On the web, we have a web page, and if people want to get our newsletter, find out more, they can text the word holistic, WHOLISTIC, to the number 22828, and they can get our newsletter. The Holistic Health Matters. They'll be where they get more information about upcoming classes. I'm really excited about the coming years. In these years that I'll be focused on teaching the next generation, the next generations, and putting things in place online, the books and the training materials, now everything it takes, so that this has longevity, because health does not go out of style. We cannot be too healthy. Okay. In fact, we need to be more healthy, especially people of color. People of color are disproportionately unhealthy and lack the wealth as well. And many times it's because our health declines that our wealth declines as well.
All right, y'all. Ooh, tap in, y'all. Definitely tap in. Now, speaking on the future of naturopaths. So, and I'm asking this for someone who's who may be in the same field as you, but not at the same level. Maybe they're just getting started, and
okay,
and they're coming into this for some insight. They blessed us with their ears. So,
okay.
So if you're talking to someone who's a naturopath or who's looking to be a naturopath and is trying to start up some form of service or company, what would be your steps to start in today's world?
Good question. I hope I have just as good an answer. What I would say, you remember when the first problems I said I faced is there was no model?
Yeah.
I'd say look for a model. Look to see where, if a person knows what they want to do or thinks they know what they want to do, or if they're exploring, look for a model. Look for a successful model. And then contact, investigate, try to pick someone's brain or something on how they can duplicate that. Because just as you asked, it's like, okay, hey, what was good and what was tough and what can I do? I strongly suggest that people start doing things online, because that's the way, the current climate, the state of, the health in the U.S. and everything, and around the world. I say start online. You can start online. Develop a foundation. Find a problem that you can reasonably solve or find out how to solve. And find a niche. Don't try to do everything. I think one of the problems that we had starting off, I say we, me and then subsequently my team, me and one time my partner and then my team, it was going too broad. Some people think they can do everything. Oh, I can do everything. You can't do everything. You can't solve every problem. Even doctors aren't saying, well, I cure diabetes and cancer and heart disease. And they're not doing everything. They're finding a niche and exploring that. The riches are in the niches. Okay? And so if you can find one significant thing, one problem that plagues mankind, and you can help to solve that, then you'll never run out of business. One big, extensive problem, not a small problem, not something that affects a few hundred people, what affects millions of people. If you can do that, you can do that well, and you could do that and find out how to do that effectively, efficiently, how to, then do that. Okay. And I do that before I do a brick or mortar. Okay. I'd learned as much as I could about not only a health aspect or problem, but about business. That's the other thing is I didn't understand business. I didn't know all the, it's like most of the stuff I was confronted with, I had no experience with that. And so if I'm spending a whole lot of time trying to manage the business and I can't do what I am purposed to do, then that would make things, really difficult. So I'd say, again, find a niche, explore that really well, look for creative ways of helping a lot of people, and the rewards will be the result. Okay. So it's rapport and reputation and results precede revenue, referrals, and repeat business. That's the formula. Okay. Oh. All right. And on that, I've got to run.
All right, Dr. Brown. I appreciate your time. Before you go, please give out your information one more time for the listeners.
All right. holistictraininginstitute.com. holistictraininginstitute.com. Find us on Facebook. Find us. I'm on there, Jesse R. Brown. I'm not taking more people. You can follow me or follow Holistic Training Institute. Get our newsletter by texting the word holistic to 22828. That's holistic, WHOLISTIC, to 22828. Our mission is to train a healer in every home and every family and help people to become empowered, employed entrepreneurs and evolved, so that we can not only help ourselves, our loved ones, we can help our community, we can help our nation, we can help the world now and for future generations. Healing is a high calling, and we all have genius in our genes and diamonds in our DNA. We are more brilliant and resilient than what we've been taught to believe. All right. Thanks, Parrish.
Thanks again. Thank you, sir.
Take care. Okay. Bye.
And there you have it, Dr. Jesse Brown. I'd like to thank you guys for listening to the Entrepreneur Kickback. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, at the Entrepreneur Kickback. You can follow me on Twitter at Podcaster Patton. You can also follow me on LinkedIn at Parrish Patton. I'd like to thank you guys again for listening. If you need any additional information, please follow our show notes and continue to kick back with us.